All right, well, the number one player that we have had on this video every single week, Breece Hall. I'd imagine that over half the people in the flock have Breece Hall. So looks like we need to find our new running back. Looks like we need to find that new guy that's going to win us a fantasy football leagues. Maybe we'll mention someone that's been on a buy low video for the past month, Travis Etienne. Of course, you know we're bringing up our guy, but before we get to it, go down there, drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football, and if you have any questions, make sure you go down there, drop them down there in the comment section. I'll try to answer as many of those as possible. So I was going to highlight an underdog prop in this video. I actually recorded this video before James Robinson got traded, and I wanted to tell you to go get the higher than 75.5 receiving yards on Travis Etienne. Who the hell knows if you're still able to do that? Who the hell knows what the new line is? But if you want to be first to the party, if you want to go check out those lines right now before any others change, make sure you get to the link in the comment section, link in the description of the video. Go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. And when you sign up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar. So it's pretty much free for you to check out. But that should be it. Let's go through. Let's dive into it. And can we bring up someone? Can we talk about Travis Etienne? I know we've had him on the buy low running back video every day over the past month. I get it. He's going to cost you a whole lot more. But the more I look into this situation, the more and more I am excited about him, the more and more I think that Travis Etienne is maybe not just a high-end running back too now. I think he's a top 10 guy. Because if we go through, try to map out the running back position, particularly in a PPR format, it looks like there's so many veteran question marks surrounding guys like Leonard Fournette. I mean, you have those mid-tier running backs that don't particularly catch passes. So from a full PPR standpoint, Travis Etienne is pretty much exactly what we said he was coming into the year, a discount DeAndre Swift. And if you have to choose which one of these guys you want right now, hell, I mean, Etienne doesn't have Jamal Williams in his backfield. Etienne doesn't have to go out there and compete with anybody outside of Snoop Conner. If you look at the snaps, it's just pretty much a clear line up since week 2. This isn't going to change at all. This past week, they allowed Travis Etienne to get pretty much every single carry out of this backfield. He's the new age Alvin Kamara. He's the new age Aaron Jones. We've said it since he came out of Clemson. We drafted him in way too many leagues this rookie season, drafted him in way too many leagues this year, but it looks like it's finally working out. Looks like Travis Etienne is that top 10 guy. So if you can buy him as a high-end running back too, obviously you're going to have to pay that price. I would like to go out there and get him in that full PPR format. But now let's go and look at the player that profiles to be the same guy, DeAndre Swift. With DeAndre Swift, I mean, he profiles to be exactly like Travis Etienne in that these are running backs that are going to get every single target out of their respective backfields. They're going to get every single touch in the red zone, or at least in the case of DeAndre Swift, we're going to hope that he's getting every touch in the red zone. Obviously, earlier on in the season, we had Jamal Williams actually vulturing some of these rushing touchdowns. That's extremely frustrating, and that is why I think that you honestly may have to have Travis Etienne ahead of DeAndre Swift now. We've been calling DeAndre Swift right next to Travis Etienne a buy low running back over the past month. I mean, I've essentially said, what, for 3 weeks now? Oh, next week you're probably getting DeAndre Swift back. Maybe it's a good thing they've held him out this long. Maybe it's a good thing that he hasn't played football in a month and that you don't have to be worried about him coming back with a shoulder injury and then going right back out for an extended period of time. I think that you probably get back Swift this week. If he doesn't come back this week, they should have just put him on the IR in the first place. But hell, I really like the profile. It's still an elite offensive line with DJ Chark on the IR, with Jameson Williams still on the IR, with Amon-Ra St. Brown going down as well. They really, really need a pass catcher in here. Now our next guy going to be significantly cheaper than both DeAndre Swift as well as Travis Etienne. Darrell Henderson. With Darrell Henderson, I am not a big Henderson fan. Y'all know I liked Akers coming into this season. I mean, Akers and Jacobs, those were the two guys we were taking the 6th and 7th rounds nonstop in those underdog drafts. But I can't ignore the situation that Darrell Henderson's in right now. I still think there's going to be a better offense going forward, especially when you get Van Jefferson back here in Los Angeles. This past week before the bye, you had Darrell Henderson with 46 out of a potential 65 Matthew Stafford snaps. And in those 46 snaps, he goes out there, he sees 12 carries, he gets the rushing touchdown, and we've seen even before Cam Akers is now no longer associated with this team that the Los Angeles Rams will include Darrell Henderson as that passing down running back. Back against Dallas a few weeks back, he had 5 targets. Back week 1, he had 5 targets. And now, I mean, hell, we know that they can't trade for James Robinson. I thought they were going to potentially trade for Christian McCaffrey, but that clearly can't happen either. I know some people are worried about Kyren Williams. Trust me, I've dove in deep with this rookie draft class. We wrote over a 100-page Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide with historical analysis on what matters with these players coming into the NFL. That's one of the reasons why I was so high on our guy, Breece Hall, this season. And if you go check it out, you'll see that Kyren Williams is a small, slow running back. Now, I'm no NFL head coach. I am no professional scout, but I have seen with our historical research, and I know this is going to be very surprising for everybody here, that you don't want your running backs to be small and slow. Darrell Henderson's a much better player. Kyren Williams may come in. Kyren Williams may see the Malcolm Brown role, but that's not something you got to be that worried about. But now going over to our next guy, can we include Michael Carter / James Robinson? I don't know. I mean, right before the James Robinson trade, I was going to call Michael Carter a buy low player because Michael Carter and Breece Hall through the first 7 weeks combined to average over 20 carries a game, over, 150 total yards a game, 8 targets a game. I mean, it was a phenomenal situation to go through and trade for Carter. But now I guess we can't. But if something does happen to James Robinson, we will be throwing him on this buy low list. I'm sorry for even bringing that up. I don't know why I have him on my page still. Now going over to our next player. Don't want to be talking about him too long here. James Cook. With James Cook, maybe you should have been on the waiver wire video instead, because I don't want you going out there and giving up a lot. I don't want you trading Damian Harris for James. If we are looking at Cook, I just want to put him on the radar alongside Rachaad White, in that these 2 rookie running backs are guys that can catch the ball. They are very good pass catchers. And on top of this, you are starting to see the usage shift with these teams. In the case of Rachaad White, hell, you had Tampa deciding to play less and less of Leonard Fournette, more and more of Rachaad White if we are looking at the underlying snaps. Now, of course, the thing is we got to be worried about the Tampa offensive line. We got to be worried about the Tampa production. That's not the thing that we have to worry about in Buffalo, however, with James Cook, who's also a very good pass catcher, and with Cook as well. This past week, right before the bye, they actually had Zach Moss as a healthy scratch, which is what we saw at the end of last season. To have Devin Singletary break out. Devin Singletary's been a top 5 running back in the NFL in snaps played so far this season. He's done absolutely nothing with it. So I'm not going to be surprised if James Cook continues to expand his role in Buffalo. But between these 2 rookie running backs, given the amount of snaps that Rachaad White's currently playing, and the fact that I thought Rachaad White was a slightly more intriguing prospect coming into the NFL, Rachaad White is definitely the guy we would prioritize. But both of these players are perfect for those back end just throw-in deals. Like if someone goes through and they offer you, say, DJ Moore for Terry McLaurin, and you're sitting there going, man, I don't really care about either one of these wide receivers. I don't see why I would make a deal for either one of these players. But you see they have Rachaad White on your roster. You tell them, hey, man, I'll swap your wide receivers. Just add in Rachaad White. We can say the same thing with James Cook. Don't have a ton of value, but hell, I think they're intriguing for the end of roster spot. Now going over to our next player, someone that's been on a buy low video for quite some time, just like Travis Etienne, James Conner. And if you go back to see what we've said with those buy low videos of James Conner, we were saying don't trade for him now. We want to get out the whole phone here. We want to be putting a little reminder on it and saying trade for James Conner about 3 weeks from now. The time is up. This is your time right now to go through and trade for Conner. I thought he was going to be in a great spot by the time we got to week 7, week 8, when he was fully healthy, and you had both DeAndre Hopkins and Hollywood Brown in here. I thought this was going to be a significantly better Arizona Cardinals offense because we looked historically at what you had with DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray, and how DeAndre Hopkins plays such a large role in the efficiency of this offense. Hell, maybe we're going to have to wait a little bit more for Hollywood, but obviously DeAndre Hopkins already making this a better team in general. And if right now we're going down to see what you have with James Conner through the first 4 weeks this season, don't want to look at week 5. he left with an injury, but the first 4 weeks, the man averaged 4.5 targets a game. He averaged over 11 carries a game. Now, we said it coming into the year that there was no way the touchdowns remain the same. There's no way he continued to score as much as he did last season this year. He only had 1 touchdown through the first 4 weeks. I actually think there's probably a happy medium between James Conner averaging more than a touchdown a game last year, which we said wasn't going to happen again, and him averaging 1 touchdown every 4 games. I think the touchdown regression will hit where he'll be scoring more touchdowns. He's getting involved as a pass catcher, and this will be a better offense going forward. But now our next guy, not going to be at the running back position. We've had a lot of people asking us questions about these 2 players, and also a lot of people in the comment section telling us they want us to talk about some buy low quarterbacks. I'll sneak on a quarterback here because, hell, he can run the ball. Kyler Murray. I mean, Kyler Murray, can we count him as a quarterback if the man's going over 100 rushing yards a few weeks back? But we saw this past week that, yes, DeAndre Hopkins is going to be improving this offense in general. With Kyler Murray, he still has the rushing upside you're looking for. He's averaging over 30 rushing yards a game so far this season. The passing volume wasn't necessarily there this past week, but that's because you had so many interceptions from Andy Dalton, including a couple pick sixes. I think going forward, this is going to be a better offense with DeAndre Hopkins in here. But what I really like is the upside that we are going to have for Kyler Murray when there's both Hollywood Brown and DeAndre Hopkins. So very similar to what we've been saying with James Conner over the past few weeks, saying don't trade for him now, but get that phone out, set a little reminder, tell yourself, hey, we're going to want to go through, we're going to want to trade for Kyler Murray in about a month, a few weeks before Hollywood Brown comes back, because he does have the rushing upside. Now our next guy, Lamar Jackson. I mean, some people, I guess, want to call Lamar a running back. And I know a lot of people have been hating on Lamar Jackson this season. I don't get it. So if we look at these numbers through the first 3 weeks, Lamar looked like he was going to single-handedly put fantasy football teams on his back and win some titles. However, he's dramatically slowed down. Through the first 3 weeks, the man went through and he had 12 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson, through the first 3 weeks of the season, was averaging 4 touchdowns a game. Now, over the past month, Lamar Jackson has been averaging less than 1 touchdown a game. It's a night and day difference, and it's 100% been negatively impacting your fantasy team. But we need to dive into some context here. What happened through the first 3 weeks? Well, first 3 weeks, Baltimore relatively healthy. There wasn't really too much to be worried about. Well, against Buffalo, Rashad Bateman gets hurt. Rashad Bateman goes down. That is the exact week where you see a significant step back from Lamar Jackson. Now, you know I love me some Devin Duvernay. Hook 'em horns. I went to school with the guy. Of course I'm going to be rooting for him. But he's not a number 1 NFL wide receiver. That's never going to get the job done. And I know Bateman came back this past week against the Cleveland Browns, where you only had 120 passing yards from Lamar Jackson. You only had 9 completions as well. By far and away, one of the worst days of Lamar Jackson's career with raw volume as a passing quarterback. However, Mark Andrews was also hurt. Mark Andrews is a tight end that practiced 1 time before Sunday's game. And that was a limited session on Friday. Clearly, he was not over the knee injury. Clearly, that should have been something that we were significantly more worried about than we actually were. But I think now that you have Bateman and Mark Andrews coming back in, I don't necessarily think that Lamar goes back to being a quarterback that is averaging 4 touchdowns a game. But hell, he can be a quarterback that's averaging 2, 2.5, maybe even 3. And obviously have the rushing upside where he has 510 rushing yards so far this season. But I think that's all we got for you. Of course, thank you so much for hanging out with us in this video. If you have not done so yet, go down there, drop a like on it, subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. If you have any questions, go down there, drop them in the comments. I was going to tell you to go take the higher than on Travis Etienne at 77.5 total yards. I guess I can no longer tell you that, but you can go find your own player prop that you like over there on Underdog Fantasy with the link in the comment section, with the link in the description. And when you sign up to Underdog with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100, and it's available in damn near every single state. But thank you again. I appreciate you. Hope you have a great day, and hope we get to see you in the live stream tonight.